Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Dorset. I'm the student pastor here at the beautiful Christabelle Spiritualist Church in Cherry Valley, Illinois, and happy Father's Day. I'm sure you've noticed I'm wearing a nice paisley tie today, which was actually a Father's Day gift from my wife and my son. So thank you, Deb, and thank you, Captain Awesome. I love it. Now, let us begin with our invocation, and then we shall move into our 9 principles and our official Father's Day sermon. Please virtually bow your heads. Infinite Spirit, bless us as we go forth from this moment of time into our individual moments of life, ever learning, ever moving forward beyond the errors of the past, and knowing that we have an endless supply of new beginnings. Amen. On to the Declaration of Principles. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expressions of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact, scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing are divine attributes proven through mediumship. So, as I said, today is our Father's Day sermon, and it is June 21st, 2020. It's amazing that we are already halfway through this year. So, I trust that you are all doing well this morning. And I just want to say happy Father's Day out there to all the dads, stepdads, foster dads, granddads, uncles who are like dads, moms who are dads, to all of you out there who function in a fatherly role in some capacity. I will be using the term dad in this sermon to refer to any individual who has taken on that more paternal role in the life of another person. Now, I know that this will come as a shock to you. Okay, so not really. But Father's Day was actually inspired by Anna Jarvis's Mother's Day campaign. It took considerably longer for Father's Day to really catch on than Mother's Day. But, retailers really didn't initially embrace a day for dads with the same gusto that they did with the day for moms. Apparently dads don't seem as, warm and cuddly and, warm, fuzzy kind of a thing like moms can be. But, the first official Father's Day in the United States dates back actually to July 5th, 1908, which actually I happen to be one of my favorite dates is July 5th. But anyway, a West Virginia church sponsored the nation's first event explicitly in honor of fathers. A Sunday sermon in memory of the 362 men who had died the previous December's explosion at the Fairmont Coal Company mines in Monongah. But that was a one-time commemoration and not an annual holiday. But then the next year, in Spokane, Washington, a woman named Sonora Smart Dodd, she was one of 6 children raised by a widower, tried to establish an official equivalent to Mother's Day for male parents. She went to local churches, the YMCA, shopkeepers, government officials, all trying to drum up, support for her idea, and she was actually successful. The Washington state celebrated the nation's first statewide Father's Day on June 19th, 1910. And slowly the holiday spread, but it really wasn't until 1972 when then President Richard Nixon made Father's Day an official national holiday. So now that you know the history of Father's Day, what does Father's Day mean to you? I'm putting that question out there. I'm very curious. What does Father's Day mean to you? I know for most of us nowadays, we think of it as another great opportunity to be out there and barbecuing, and just kind of, or if you watch any television at all, it kind of seems more like Father's Day is National Power Tool Sales Day. It's the day or the weekend when all the power tools go on sale. But you know what? It really is so much more than that. Much like the original intention for Mother's Day, Father's Day is also a day to reflect on the paternal influences in our lives. Now, being a dad, it really means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, depending on what I'll say the type of relationship that you had with your dad, or indeed, even if you had a relationship at all, it will kind of make a difference as to how you feel about the day. There are a lot of people who actually either grew up without a paternal figure in their life or with a, shall we say, just a challenging relationship with that paternal father figure. For those people, Father's Day can have a little different connotation. It can be less a day of joy or celebration or remembrance, and it's just really just kind of either another day or possibly a reminder of disappointments past. If you are one of those people, please, 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 do not let that relationship stop you from being the best person that you can be. Even if it was a relationship that still brings you feelings that aren't necessarily what you would think of as being the most positive. Much like any experience that we have, we do have the opportunity to either run from it or to grow from it. It's all in how you look at it. I mean, remember what I read earlier with Spiritualist Principles number 7 and 8. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. That's followed by, we affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. Now, okay, I don't want you to think that I'm diminishing any difficult situation that has affected you. I'm not, I promise. But I want you to remember that we can use those challenging relationships that we all have to help us to learn to grow and thrive. We can also learn from the inappropriate choices that have been made by those people who have come before us in order to make changes to our own lives, our own behavior, so that history does not repeat itself. The principles of spiritualism are designed for that very purpose. They are a great set of guidelines. They really are to help you live your life in the best, most productive, happiest way possible. Now, as an example of what I'm talking about, especially with, first personal responsibility, but then the fact that tomorrow is always another day, that we always have another shot at redemption. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about the movie Field of Dreams. For those of you who haven't seen it, you may want to just kind of plug your ears for a moment. La, 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 la. But in the movie, at the time of Kevin Costner's character's father's death, at the time of his father's death, they were estranged. Him and his father just weren't talking, and they had a kind of a challenging relationship to begin with. But by the very end of the movie, he gets a second chance to repair that relationship with his dad. For those of you who have seen the movie, does the line, "Hey Dad, want to have a catch?" Does that ring any bells for you? Now, real life isn't necessarily as dramatic as the movies. You don't necessarily have to build a baseball field out in the middle of Iowa. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is always a chance to repair those challenging relationships, either in this lifetime or the next. There is always that opportunity. And having said that, I'm talking a little bit about some of the more challenging relationships. A lot of us out here have had more positive relationships or more positive experiences with our dads. And so for us, Father's Day takes on a different meaning. It's more a celebration of that person that took on that parental role. Like I said at the beginning, whether it be a dad, a stepdad, a foster dad, an uncle who's like a dad, an adoptive dad, a mom who is a dad, whatever that role is. Many people have singular memories of their dad growing up, whether it be a memory of them golfing together, going fishing, working on a car, whatever it may be. In my case, it was spending hours on the front lawn playing catch with my dad until his arm was ready to fall off. Now, because of the relationship that I had with my dad, I am also trying my best to create positive memories with my own son, in the same way that my dad did with me. Instead of being out on the front lawn playing catch, I am sitting next to my son while he plays video games and trying to attempt to play video games with him, because I know that that's something he loves. Playing games, reading, driving us crazy with Mad Libs. He's really much more of an indoor kid, but everybody is different. And one thing that he absolutely loves to do that is kind of an outdoor activity is to swim. He's just like his mom, he loves to swim. And the two of them can spend hours and hours in a pool. And it brings such a smile to my face to see the joy that it gives the two of them. So even though it may not be something that I live for the way that they do, I'm happy because I'm watching them be happy. And to me, you know what, that's also part of being a dad, is giving whatever time or energy you can to also be there for your family in whatever capacity that you are capable of being. And I'm going to word it that way because not all of us are capable of doing the same things. But whatever way that you try to be there for your family, the best way that you can possibly be, it's important. And I know it's not always easy because so often we are being pulled in, we feel like we're being pulled in a million different directions at once. But trust me, just like my dad carved out time for me, if you do so for your own children, they'll grow up appreciating it, even if they don't always show it right now. But you know what? That does bring up another point for me, is that part of the job of a dad has traditionally been that of a disciplinarian. It's not easy to take on that role, whether you're a dad, whether you're whatever role you happen to be in. Especially when we're already feeling guilty because we're working such long hours or we're working such strange hours. And in many cases, we're trying to be both parental figures and misguidedly also trying to be our child's friend as well as an authority figure. I know that this is a quick tangent, but in my experience, I can tell you that having appropriate boundaries with your children and for your children really does help them to grow up to be much happier and more positive, productive people. Hey, I never said it was easy. I just said it helps. And I will tell you right now, it's easier said than done, but it's totally worth it, speaking from experience. And it's also been my experience that, speaking of experiences, it's also been my experience that for most people, they tend to lose their fathers, their dads, much earlier in life than they do their moms. So they do have a different relationship with their dad, or whomever you happen to consider that paternal influence in your life. Not everyone gets to grow up enough or have their father around long enough to have their dad in their life in a more friendly role as opposed to just a parental role. But it is amazing how much of an influence that our dads can have on us even after they physically die. Or as I like to say, after they transition to Summerland. And I do promise, I know I say this every week, I do promise coming up, I'm going to be doing a Summerland sermon. Hey, that sounds kind of good. Summerland sermon. My dad happened to make his transition to spirit in January of 2014 after a very long 11-year illness. But even before he got sick, my dad was always a quiet, behind-the-scenes kind of a person. He was much more like the builder that I spoke about in my How Do You Measure Success sermon. Kind-hearted, always ready to help without any concern for reciprocation. He wasn't worried about the quid pro quo. Never mattered to him if he received anything in return for his acts of kindness. He just felt good knowing that he could help. And my dad would go out of his way to help people because he knew it was right. And that has always stuck with me. And it is something that I really try and carry with me, because even though my dad was not a religious man, he really was the living embodiment of the golden rule. He truly believed in treating other people with respect, treating them as he would like to be treated, and I've tried my best to carry forward with his way of looking at things and his way of living, and I feel like there's a lot of times when I need to kind of step back and have a little more appropriate boundaries, which was something he also was very good at. But anyway, I actually had, talking about my dad and what a nice guy he was, I actually had a few Little League teammates growing up who referred to my dad as Mr. Rogers, because that is just how he came across. My dad was a jovial and kind man, and I am very lucky to have had him in my life and to still have him in my life in spirit, and I am well aware of that. And I know that not everyone has had that kind of a positive experience with their dad, but please try and take the positives where you can. Even if your dad was normally a big jerk, but occasionally he would nap in the bedroom instead of in the living room, so that way you could watch TV out in the living room. Or even if occasionally he would just take you out for ice cream randomly. Whatever it happens to be, whatever positive memories you can find, try and hold on to those. And to use any memories that may not feel as positive, try and hold on to those and use them as a stepping stone into something stronger, better, happier for you to be. It's a way to also help yourself, but also that younger generation that you are here to help. And, for those of us who have dads who have transitioned to spirit, just remember that they are doing exceptionally well. They really are, and that they still pay attention to what we are doing in our lives and what we are up to here on earth. And for those who still have their dads as part of their lives, cherish the time that you have, even if it is a more challenging relationship. And I'm not saying set aside who you are or forego any appropriate boundaries to try and maintain a relationship with someone if it is not in your best interest. But if you still have your father here and you still have a close relationship with him, cherish that. Remember that for those of you who no longer have your dad physically alive, we here at your local spiritualist church, we can help you to reconnect with your loved ones, such as your dear old dad or whomever you want to hear from. Or, if you choose, we do offer development circles to help you to develop your skills to help connect for yourself with your loved ones. And I know I've said this before in my mediumship workshop, I do acknowledge that platform work, which is what is done in a local spiritualist church, which is you're up here and you are providing messages of evidential information, of love, of healing to people in the congregation. That type of work is not for everyone, but that's okay. Even if you are interested in learning, in connecting, just so that you can be your own best cell phone to connect with your loved ones, it's all about learning, it's all about growth, it's all about healing. So feel free to reach out to us. We're here. We would absolutely love to have you as part of our virtual congregation. And if you are unable to meet with us here in person once we start with in-person services again, feel free to watch us online. Watch us on Facebook on our Christabelle Spiritualist Church Facebook page. Check us out on YouTube at the Christabelle Spiritualist Church channel. However you choose to connect with us, we'd love to have you as part of our virtual congregation. And so because we do have such a good virtual congregation, we do also have these grounds here that we do need to take care of. And here we go. Here's the pledge break. And I do apologize, but it is absolutely necessary for any of us to be able to maintain this property, to maintain doing this work for all of you. If you could please see your way clear to help us by donating to our virtual offering plate, which will be linked below the sermon here after we air. It will be greatly appreciated. It really will. We have, and I know I say this a lot, but it really is a beautiful 3.5 acre property that we have, and we're trying to maintain. So any assistance you can give us would be greatly appreciated. And now I would like to conclude today's sermon with this poem that was anonymously written, but I really like it, and it's a great poem about fathers. A father is neither an anchor to hold us back, nor a sail to take us there, but always a guiding light whose love shows us the way. The warm light of your love shines in my memories and in my heart, reminding me of your guidance, your care, and most of all, your love. Thank you, everyone out there, and have a spectacular week filled with promise and opportunity.